First time we've said it to you that way. We want you to understand the creator that you are. So, here you are in your physical body, knowing what you don't want, which helps you to know what you do want. And every time you synthesize or sift through this wonderful contrast, you build or create this future manifestation, but present vibrational you. You get that? Future manifestation, but current vibrational you. And we're going to call this vortex of creation. We've been calling it your vibrational escrow, your vibrational reality. We just want you to get the sense that you are projecting you forward, and the non-physical part of you already went. In other words, when you're sick in your physical body, you ask for wellness, and the non-physical vibrational version of you accepts that wellness immediately and becomes it. Everything that you know as reality was vibrational reality first. And you, because of your emotions, have keen access to your relationship between where you stand right now in your physical, manifested this far body, and who you have really become. We wrote a book a few years ago, and we gave it the best title that was ever given to a book. It was called Ask and It Is Given. And it tells that story, that when you ask from your contrasting experience, when you ask, it is given in such a full sense that the non-physical part of you literally becomes it. So whenever you feel negative emotion, it always means one important thing to you. It means you haven't yet become it. When you ask, it is given, and the source within you becomes it. But if you feel afraid, if you feel angry, that negative emotion is your indicator you're not up to speed with what you have become. Can you hear the importance of your step one part of this process? Contrast causes you to ask and source the inner being that is you, the God within you, the all that isness, collects the data of the best of life. Now we want to ask you a question. When you know what you don't want, when you see someone rude, when you see a mass murder, when you see some abhorrent experience, when you see something that you really, really, really know that you don't want, when you see people suffering, when you see people encouraging suffering, when you see those things you don't want to see, whether it's humans or animals or earth, when you see something you don't want to see, do you understand that in that moment you offer an equal and a commensurate and exactly equal, proportionate request that is exactly on the other side of what you don't want? In other words, when you're really sick, you really ask for wellness. If you're sort of sick, you sort of ask for wellness. If you're sort of confused, you sort of ask for clarity. If you're really confused, you really ask for clarity. In other words, your request is always proportionate to what you are allowing yourself to live. And for that reason, in this time of greatest diversity, which is a good thing, not a bad thing, as you are mixing it up with one another, you are asking massively. And as you don't allow yourself as individuals to go in the direction of what you're asking for, it just causes you to ask harder and stronger and more often. So that the requests that this time-space reality are sending forth into the vibrational escrow of mass consciousness is bigger and faster and more than it has ever been before. This stream is moving fast, and the answering to what you're asking for is happening in greater abundance than ever before. This pool of abundance that you have requested is at its all-time high and getting greater in every day, which means your propensity for thriving is greater than it has ever been. Your propensity for suffering is greater than it has ever been also. Because it's always equal. In other words, when who you have become is more and you don't let yourself become it, you don't feel so good. Fortunately, as individuals, you don't have to wait for everybody to figure it out before you have the ease of alignment. You get to individually go with the flow of that which you have become, and when you do, you come into alignment with who you are. Now, many of you quibble a bit and say, well, if it's just the same to you, Abraham, when you give it to me, I would just as soon it were in my bank account now. When you give it to me, put him in my bed. When you give it to me, Give it to me. And we say, if you will stay with us here today, you will come to understand how when you ask and life causes you to do it all day, every day, it is given. It is given in the purest, fullest means possible. It is given to you vibrationally. And all things that ever become manifest are first vibrationally given. Now, what happens is when you ask, Source clearly hears what you're asking for. But Source, unlike you, often, you don't always do it, but you're doing it less and less all the time. But Source, unlike you, no longer gives attention to the reason that you are asking. In other words, it's enough when you ask, because Source understands that you are asking from the most sincere base of your being, from your own experience. When you ask, it is given. When you're confused, you ask for clarity, even if you don't say the words. When you are angry, you ask for love, even when you do not say the words. When you're sick, you ask for wellness, even though you may be saying the words. When you don't have enough money, you ask for more. In other words, you're asking all day long. And when that desire, that focused, clear asking emanates from you vibrationally, and don't worry about having to learn how to do it vibrationally. You can't stop doing it vibrationally. You are much more vibrational beings than anything else. When that vibration emanates from you, Source focuses upon this newly amended vibration, because after all, it's not the first one you ever offered. You've been offering vibrations. You've been offering them and offering them and offering them, and you have been building a vibrational escrow, so to speak. You have been making requests, and Source has been receiving each and every one of them and holding the next idea and the next idea and the next idea and the next idea and the next idea, until without you usually even knowing it, you are building a future experience. Now, how far into the future this experience is really up to you. That depends upon how long you, unlike Source, continue to beat the drum of the reason that you ask. In other words, if you don't have enough money, and that's why you're asking for more, but you are constantly aware of your lack of money and speaking about it, and therefore holding it active in your vibration incessantly, I don't have enough, 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 want more, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I don't have enough. Then without meaning to, but by your attention to where you stand, by your attention to the what is that you are living, you prevent yourself from moving easily to the what you have already asked for. And you don't do it just about money. You do it about so many things, because, bless your hearts, you are so enamored, you are so steeped, you are so completely and so beautifully, humanly, physically focused, that you believe so much in the reality that is, that you've forgotten about the reality that you are creating.